hello YouTube, welcome back. Today we're going to make the definitive Lichtenberg video, and for those of you that are here for the YouTube Cross Channel Challenge 2021, we're also going to be letting you know what my challenge is for you to do in this video, so you'll have to stay tuned. If you've been interested in Lichtenberging, wow, that's in a good state of repair. If you're interested in Lichtenberging, I suggest that you stay tuned. Like I said, this is going to be the definitive guide to what to do and what not to do, who to talk to, how to build it, and how not to kill yourself. That's what this video is. Stay tuned. Okay, so this is my old triple burner. Nobody runs triple burners because they're not totally insane like me. I'm the only person that I've ever seen with 3 microwave oven transformers running in series to create 6,000 volts. Now, in all honesty, you don't need 6,000 volts. You only need 2,000 volts to do a successful burn. 4,000 volts gets you an even better burn, and 6,000 volts just goes completely insane.
Fire.
Yeah, fire happens, but hopefully in the right places and not in the wrong places. So, what we're going to do, because I made this as safe as possible, i.e. you can't touch the vast majority of the shiny bits, because if you do touch a shiny bit on one of these when it's switched on, you're going to die. And I'm not saying that to scare you. Well, I am actually saying that to scare you because it's true. If you touch this or any of these components inside, when this is switched on, you will instantly die. A very horrible, painful death. So we want to avoid that, and the way we're going to do that, or I always say, the way that I've done that is by putting the vast majority of all the bits that can hurt you inside a plastic container and submerged under oil. So there are 2 sides to a Lichtenberg burner. There's the bit that puts power to it. I'm going to have to change this out today. But this is 240 volts, or whatever your supply is in whatever country you're watching this in. 110 volts if you're in America. Plugs into the wall and powers these transformers. On the other side, on the scary side, you've got 6,000 volts. Right, we're going to redo these. 6,000 volts. So the first job, because I wasn't happy with this being a bit like movie aroundy and whatever. I kind of designed this to be portable, and I never finished this design, which was going to be all enclosed. So I've come up with a new design.
Dun 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 dun.
It's a fish tank.
Shout out to Matt Brown.
Shout out to Matt Brown for the fish tank, thank you very much. So every part of this is going to be inside this fish tank and submerged under oil. So there is no way, unless you're a complete idiot, that you can touch any of the shiny bits. You shouldn't be able to, it should be impossible. The only bits that would then kill you are these bits on the end of the wires, and that's what goes on the piece to create the burn. Right, so first job is we've got to strip this down. We're not actually going to rewire it as such, we're just going to migrate it over into the fish tank. And then we're going to use the lid of the fish tank, which is here, and modify this so all of our cables come in and out nice and neat, and you can't touch anything. That's the main, what we're doing today. I've got some new high voltage cable coming for these bits. Now, the main reason people kill themselves with these devices is that they're trying to put 2,000 volts through essentially this cable, or even worse, this is rated for 240 volts, or at least the insulation is. Most people that I've seen doing this are using 12 volt car wiring, and the insulation is obviously rated for 12 volts, not 6,000 volts. So if they are to touch even the insulation, any kind of flaw, or just generally if you're really unlucky, it's going to shock you through the wiring. You don't even have to touch the shiny bits. So it is super important that you get the right cable for the job. Now this cable is car HT lead cable, which is rated for 20,000 volts. So the insulation, and even I'm not stupid, I'm not going to be holding it by the wire like an idiot. I'm that far away from it. on the end of a PVC pipe with 20,000 volts of insulation. This is what you need to do. So we're going to strip this down now, migrate it into that fish tank, and then have some fun. Alright, anyway, the first thing we're going to do is empty these so I can get at what's inside. Right, so we can get rid of those for a minute. So you can see a little bit better now what's going on. We've got 3 of these transformers. Now, if you're using multiple transformers, it's very important that you get identical transformers, he says. Now, this is where I hope that I've actually got identical ones. These are MD801 FTR-1 transformers. MD801 FTR-1. MD801 FTR-1. They are 3 identical transformers. And the reason you submerge them in oil, or at least I do, is because oil is a much better cooling medium than air. So they don't get as hot. And these are obviously rated for 2,000 volts, the output coil. But when you start linking them together like an idiot, what you do is you turn there now outputs 4,000 volts, and when you plug that one in there, it now outputs 6,000 volts. So if you were to just leave that in air, it would burn out in a matter of minutes. Get extremely hot and be very, very dangerous. Okay, so we need to empty the oil out of these. Lovely. Right, let's empty one of these transformers. This is also a leak test. We don't know whether this tank leaks yet or not. Okay, so now we can take a closer look at one of these transformers. Oops. Oh, that's really lovely.
Smells amazing.
Lovely and goopy. But there we go. So that is a transformer. What it does is it takes 240 volts in, 2,000 volts out. This is a metal oxide varistor, and what that does, if this transformer malfunctions and for some reason it sends this high voltage back out into the primary coil, this will get very, very hot and start to smoke, and give you a bit of a warning that everything's gone horribly wrong before it sends 6,000 volts into your house electrics, which would not be a good idea. So that's what that is for. Every single one of these has got one of those on it. Now then, what this wire does is a ground. And if you're using one of these by itself, you need to ground the core. Very important that you ground the core, because these are designed to be run with the core grounded. I should say at this point, if you go to the Lichtenberg, the Deadly Art of Woodburning group on Facebook and talk to Vaughan Tate or Jeremiah, I forget his name, Jeremiah, then you will find all files and information that you need about these things on that site. They're all lovely people. Go and get yourself on that group on Facebook. The reason I say that is because on this unit I can't ground these cores because I'm running multiple units in series, and I did try it with all the cores grounded, and I nearly had a very bad fire, so I can't ground the cores on these units. That being said, that's pretty much it. You get 240 volts in, 2,000 volts out. Yeah, that's that. I want to sit these on something in this tank so they're not just sitting on the glass. What shall I sit them on? Alright, so I found this very clean old rubber car mat. I'm going to take a section off it. I'm going to use that just to insulate the transformers from the bottom of the glass, if I can cut through it with these magnificent scissors. I'll see you in about 3 weeks. Now this is probably not strictly necessary, but it's a good idea to always isolate your transformers from whatever it is you're working on. Otherwise you're liable to get electrocuted. If there's any route to ground, the electricity will find it. That's what Lichtenberg does. It's the electricity finding its way from one side to the other, and if it has to go through you or a table or anything else, it will find it. Okay, we'll give that a little bit of clean off, and I think that'll be big enough, won't it?
Yeah, plenty.
Does it go in the box? It goes in the box. Wonderful process. Right, in the old studio, as was, I jacked into the consumer unit in there, and on a 30 amp breaker, put this plug on, which is what I had just laying around. In here, there's a custom made single phase 30 amp or 32 amp outlet with a switch on it, ladies and gentlemen, which we've never had before, which is good, right? Doesn't bloody work, does it? Because the electrician's a bit of a dickhead, so we might have to do something with that. It doesn't work. Right, fantastic. But we're going to make it work. We're going to use it today. So we're going to the proper job 32 amp single phase plug. Yes, so let's do that then. Don't you just love rancid old oil?
Yes, I do, Will.
Okay. Think you might be on your own with that one. Ooh. Try not to break it before we even get going. So these serve their purpose. I mean, nobody died in the making of any Lichtenberg video that I've ever done, which is, you know, more than some people could say, unfortunately. We shouldn't make light of it, but really, I would like it, people, if you wouldn't kill yourselves. Now the first thing I'm going to do is remove this extraneous ground wire, which on this particular unit only does nothing. It just sits there being pretty, but we don't want that. So we're going to desolder it if I can. And if I can't, I'll just cut it off. Maybe I'll just cut it off. Let's just cut it off, folks. Boop, see you then. So that's gone, and that one's ready. There we go. Power in, power out, job's good. And so now we're going to sit them. Get off. In their new home of this rubber matting. It's obviously important that they all go the same way round. I think we can work with that. It's going to be super fun trying to lift that up and put it in there. But it's got two choices, ain't it? So what we've got to do, put them the right way around, he says. Right. What we've got to do now is join all these together in series on the back, parallel on the back, which means all the reds together and all the blacks together. This is the input side, so that's what's going to feed these transformers 2000 volts. So they're all going to be on at the same time, whether you're using 2000, 4000 or 6000 volts. So I was going to solder this all together, and then I thought, nah, I'm just going to put these connectors on, because it's only the 240 volt side and they'll cope just fine. So I'm going to use these yellow insulated female spades for the positives, and then I'm going to use some different ones for the negatives, so you can't plug it in the wrong way around. We're only going to do it once, it'll basically just sit there forever, but yeah, that's what we're going to do. Very interesting. There's two ways I could do this. I could like split a bit of sheath, fold it up, try and get it inside the connector and all that, or I could use these piggyback connectors, which I think is probably what I'm going to do, and make three little leads that come off this. That's probably what I'm going to do. Alrighty, we're nearly there, folks. This is the safest piece of construction you've ever seen in your life. Yeah, I don't recommend you try and get anybody to safety test one of these things, because they're not going to like you. Basically, if you want to do some Lichtenberg stuff, just send your stuff to me. I'll burn it for you, if you're in the UK. I'll burn it for you. If you must do this, you don't have to wire it up like this. This is just me saving time on this video. Connecting things together that, you know, probably it's not the safest way to do it. I'm going to heat shrink all of these connections. I might even solder them in. Probably should solder them in, shouldn't I? And then they can't go nowhere. That'd be a good idea. So I'm going to do that. Just need one more spade, and then you will see that all the positives are connected together. And this is on the 240 volt input side. Yeah, I've got a few mates that are electricians, and every time I tell them about this, they're like, "You're insane, stop it, don't do it, you're going to die." So I tend to take their advice fairly seriously. They're the ones that play with these, well, not these things, but even worse things than these. But that's basically it. That bird's nest of there is red goes in, red goes out, red goes out, red goes out. All the reds connected together. I'm going to solder that up now, all these joins.
Heat shrink them.
Heat shrink it, and then do the negatives, and then this side of the Lichtenberg is done. Now then, I've just soldered all these connections up. Oh yes, I did. And just heat shrinking the last one. The ethos of this being don't touch the shiny bits. If there aren't any shiny bits to touch, it's probably going to be alright. So what we've done is we've connected all the negatives together, and, or I should say all the neutrals together, and all the lives together. So now on the other end of this cable, remember there is no earth for this triple mott design, but if you're using one mott, you will have an earth. And again, I strongly urge you to go to the Lichtenberg group on Facebook, and they have all the files and all the people you can talk to. You can find me on there if you want to. But Vaughan Tate and Jeremiah, again, I can't remember his surname, but he's the only one Jeremiah on there. Talk to those guys, all the files are there. That's done. We're going to put the plug on now, and then the machine becomes extremely dangerous because potentially it's live if it's plugged in and switched on. So at that point, we're going to put it in the tank, and it's done, right? Pretty sure it's done. So we're going to put it in the tank, connect some leads to it, make sure everything's safe, and give it a bit of a test. Now I've ordered, I haven't got it here today, so you'll have to excuse me, all the professionals out there that have foot switches. I've ordered a foot switch, but it's very difficult to get a 30 amp foot switch. In fact, I don't think they exist. So what I've had to order is a 10 amp foot switch and a 30 amp relay. So I'm going to have a system whereby this will plug into the relay, and then out of the switch in the wall will come my foot switch. So when I press on the switch, everything becomes live. That's the plan. Right, so here is the brand new 32 amp plug. Should say this wiring is rated to 33 amps. And everything else is pretty much anyone's guess. But that should be alright, so turn that over. Oh wow, it did. It tightened up, it did. That's nice and safe. So, probably shouldn't plug it in like that. Never do that, right? Don't do it. So what we're going to do is fully assemble the machine in the tank before we even test it, so there is no danger of death. So let's do that then. Wang it in the tank. This is just a test to see if everything's actually switched on and working.
Yep, I would say yes.
That's a lot of power, folks. You can switch that off.
Switched off, unplugged.
Unplugged. You don't need that much power, it's stupid. I'm going to have to beep that out, aren't I? But it is stupid and you don't need that much power. But there it is, we've got that much power. So I would say we've done a good job. These cables are going to be replaced, I've said that already. We're just waiting for the postman for some much longer ones. Yeah. You can see bubbles coming out from where the air is getting replaced by oil, hopefully. It's obviously heated up some stuff. I did vacuum those in the boxes in the last unit, and obviously I didn't have that luxury today. So they may well burn out at 6,000 volts. I don't know, you're supposed to have them vacuumed under oil. That's as close to that as I can get. Now, like I said, it's unplugged and it's switched off. With a unit that's enclosed like this, the only dangerous things that you could possibly touch are these things. It's not switched on, so we don't have to worry. And what we're going to do in the next video, in this series, is isolate these even further. Just like have some more flexible cable on this so they're not quite so stiff. Yeah.
And foot switch.
A foot switch, that's it, yeah. Because at the moment, James is my foot switch. I say switch it on. If I look weird, he switches it off, right? There shouldn't ever be a time where I start looking like I'm dying. But it's, you know, never operate one of these things by yourself. Never. Now what I will say, another scary fact, if you do get hit by that electricity, or if you see someone that's been touched by that electricity, don't try and move them away from it because it'll kill you as well. Or the only thing you can do in that instance is to turn the power off. However you have to do that, do that. But don't touch the person who's being electrocuted because it'll kill you as well. I've got my safety man on the safety switch. I will be replacing this with a foot switch, but for now, we've got a safety man on the safety switch. It's just plugged in. So this is a 6,000 volt burn.
Really?
Yep. Okay, stop. Again. Yep. We're on 4,000 volts now. I want to see the difference in the burn.
Oh, plugged in.
Yeah.
Ready?
Yep. And yep. Okay, unplug please. That was a 4,000 volt burn. We're unplugged, everything's off.
Yeah.
Safety, safety. Good. 4,000. 6,000. You can do the same with 2,000, of course you can. Nobody's saying you can't. Big Bertha's not showing any signs of it getting hot or anything, and I don't think it's going to explode, folks. As much as you want to call it an atom bomb, can't see it myself somehow, and I think the proof's in the pudding, isn't it? Alright YouTubers, we've come to the point of this frankly epic video where I get to explain to you what I've chosen for you to do in this month's YouTube Cross Channel Challenge 2021. And the name of the challenge is Mimic. Yes it is. Now, what does that mean? Well, good question. Mimic means I have chosen a picture, and it's this picture. So here is that picture, And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make something that mimics that picture. It can be abstract, it can be any picture you like. It doesn't have to be a picture. It could be a person, it could be a place. But I want you to choose something that I can see. There it is. Choose something I can see and then make something that mimics that or represents that. Pretty simple. Is it simple? I don't know. But you can see why I've had to get this old girl running for my mimicry that's going to go on. So I'll leave you with that. I hope you've had a fun and interesting journey through the world of Lichtenberging. I should have my video out in about 2 weeks. There's going to be quite a lot of epoxy work goes on to make this beast. You can make yours however you want. So I really look forward to see what you are going to be mimicking and making in the next month. It's going to be great. Hopefully it's not too difficult. We'll see. So look out for part 2 of the Lichtenberg machine, because we still need to put the foot switch on this to make this even safer. But yeah, I might stick that in with my video for the bowl I'm making, or I might not. I might purely do another Lichtenberg video. We will see. Bye!